demonstration today is ballasting. So, like I mentioned in my last video, I've got a couple of different methods of ballast that I want to try out. So, the ballast that I'm going to be using on my layout is a mixture of the medium and fine ballast of the grey blends. I just like the way that looks. It's very popular. I know a lot of people do use it, and this is more in the bags as well, medium grey blend. But just got the fine there just for a bit of variety in certain areas, certainly the more worn out areas, and the medium for obviously your main lines. I've also got a bit of the iron ore to mix up in there for my sort of end of line siding, etc. And what I've done is I've pre-mixed up what that would look like in here, just so there's a bit of variety in there, and you can obviously put as much or as little in there. It's just to make it look obviously less used, less serviced, and just a little bit more aged. So that's that. A lot of people are going to have different methods of doing ballasting. I'm not going to show you my methods, but the way I'm doing it is with one of the old ballast spreaders. You can pick those up almost anywhere for a few quid now. A couple of paint brushes and a sort of thick lollipop stick. I've got different thicknesses of paintbrush heads there, the thicker one and the sort of more finer one. And what products we're going to use to seal it? Well, there's three different ones I want to use. Obviously, your famous PVA and water mix is the one I'm going to try. It doesn't seem to be too problematic in terms of results. Everyone seems to have good results, although it can be a bit of a long drying time. The other one I want to use, or will try out, is this Ballast Bond liquid adhesive. I was just acquired this, so I'm going to give it a go. And the other one is another Deluxe Materials, but it's Ballast Magic, which is you just add it to the mix itself. It's a powder. You add this to the ballast, give it a good old mix, you lay it, and then you spray it with water, and then that is the glue. So when it gets wet, it activates and hardens. That's sort of how it comes in the kit. You've got a little spray bottle of water, which is obviously empty, you just fill it up with water, and this powder, you mix it up. So I've got three different methods, and I'm going to have three different goes, and then whichever is the best is the one I will use for the majority of the layouts. As you can see, I've obviously already mixed up my ballast mix for an end siding, and I've already started to lay a bit of ballast over here. Now you can see the iron ore in there as well, because this is going to be obviously the end of the dock area. So it's just going to be a little bit older, a little bit more less used. I've left the point for now, because I just want to try out these different bonding methods. In terms of technique of laying the ballast, you know, as I've said, there's quite a few videos out there that will be worth a good search and talk you through their techniques. But all I've done was run the ballast spreader over it, whacked the top of the rails with a paintbrush, levelled it out, and then just took the fine paintbrush and swept off any loose bits here and there, which, as you can see here, if I find my paintbrush, where is it? Oh, here we go. See, it's just a few bits here, so just brush those off like that. It's tiresome, repetitive, tedious, but very important. And make sure when you're going along, you get everything out of the chairs or the ballast, because obviously that will affect the wheel flanges. If when you've glued and dried and find it's there, you could just pick it out, but when the glue is still wet and drying, leave it alone. Goes for everything. Leave it alone, let it dry, and then pick it all out afterwards once it's bone dry, because otherwise you're just going to spread a mess, and once that dries solid, you're going to have to rip it all up and do it all again. It's better just to let it dry on the rails or whatever, and then pick it off afterwards. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to try out is this one here, and just a disclaimer, no, I've not been paid or sponsored by Deluxe Materials. This is just a product that I've got and I'm going to try out, and it will be my honest opinion. So literally, let's have a read of what we've got to do. This is literally just position the ballast or the scatter to the track or the seam. Gently apply the ballast bond from the bottle with the fine rocket glue tips. It's got one there, but obviously you can get more of those. And looking at the picture, it just says you literally drip it over and let it dry. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Haven't got to worry about spraying and mixing up stuff. It just is out the bottle, lay it over, and let it dry. So that's quite simple. So it says super thin ready mix adhesive for bonding scenic granular materials, for example ballast, coal and other scale modelling landscape products. It's got low viscosity and capillary action, which ensures rapid efficient spreading with fast drying and minimal disturbance to the ballast seam. So where with the PVA and water, you'd obviously add your couple of drops of washed up liquid to break the surface tension. I think this is obviously already a pre-mixed product, so you can literally just whack it on there and let it dry. So we'll give that a go. Okay, so I've put the dropper on the end there just to make it a bit thinner. The first thing I'm going to do is just start over this area and work my way up. I'll do the middle and then work my way up. So I'm doing this for the first time as you're seeing it. So we will it does look pretty much like water and PVA. Now the droplets are disturbing it a bit, so I'm not quite sure what's better at the moment, the spray method or dropping it on, but you know, this is just a test, so it doesn't seem to be disturbing it too much, but I can see it moving around. Seeing a little bit of cork being exposed as well, but I'd rather be able to just add a bit on at the end afterwards rather than having to chip some away. So you can see it's sort of gathering bits of ballast there, and that's sort of lumping together and rolling down. I think that's what's exposing the ballast, the cork underneath the ballast here. So far it seems to be going on quite easy, nothing too major being destroyed or disturbed. I am being quite liberal with this, so I'm going to see how this much glue works first, how long that sort of takes to dry, and then I'll be able to get a better gauge of how much to use for the next bit after that. And then obviously what I can do is, once it is dried, go over with the little dust vacuum, pick up all the loose bits and go from there. So I can see I've got a bit of clumping here. Again, like I said, I'm just going to leave it. Got a bit of cork exposed here. I can see some of these droplets have gathered some of the ballast and rolled down. So what I'll probably do is touch that up afterwards rather than adding it all on now and making a mess. But the glue seems to be pretty good. So pretty much most of this is covered now. I'm just going to do a little bit down the actual edges of the shoulder there, just to make sure I've got it all. And then this one here looks pretty complete. So ease of use, yep, that's pretty good. There's no nothing complicated. It was pretty easy to set up. I haven't got to worry about mixing stuff up. It's just straight out the bottle. Again, being quite liberal with this here. I'm going to go down the shoulder here. Don't be too scared about getting the glue over the rails, because you can go after that with a track rubber, go over it with a track rubber afterwards, get all the glue off the rails and the chairs. It's really not the end of the world at all. And when you weather it as well, it's going to make it look completely different. The main goal here is to get that ballast down secure and not loose, because you do not want it affecting how your trains run or coming loose at all. So yeah, be liberal with it. Just get it everywhere, because you want the glue to get into all the places it needs to be as well. So don't be too worried about that. Yep, so just make sure you get that glue in the thicker places. Obviously you want more glue to run down for that ballast. Now this feels a lot lighter than when I started, and it's hard to tell how much is actually in there because the packet is black. But definitely, if I'm doing my whole layout, I'm going to need a few bottles of that. So I'll have to look up the cost. I can't remember how much this is actually worth because, as I say, this was inherited by somebody to me who wasn't going to use it. So I'll have to look at the cost and decide whether I would want to, for the ease of it, pay however much it is to do my whole layout. Now again, I have been a bit liberal with that, so it might be a case of I don't actually need to use that much, but we will see. So I'm going to step away now. I'm going to let this to dry. It doesn't actually sort of say how long for, but I think we're going to give it overnight, 24 hours, and come back just to give it the best chance. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so it's just over 24 hours later, and it's all completely bone dry. I've double checked to make sure it's not humid and stuff up here, but it definitely is. All the glue is 100% dry. As you can see, there's quite a few bare patches, and I've cleaned these sleepers, a couple of little odd pieces here and there, but I've given them a clean and a vacuum. Top of the rails need going over with track rubber, but I was quite liberal with this glue. As you saw, I was a bit OTT with it because I watched a bit of a product review, and apparently you're supposed to be a lot more sparse than I was. But most of it is in place, but there is still quite a few pieces that have come up with just the vacuum. The big bits at the end, they've all held, but I think the bigger chunks were fine. It's just these sparse bits where it's quite thin, they seem to have come up, and I thought they would be the stronger bits. So needs a bit of touching up, but overall not terrible. For the ease of the product, yeah, fine. But first time round, not 100% convinced yet, but we'll see how easy it is to do the touch-ups. Hello, so the next one we're going to try is the Ballast Magic by Deluxe Materials. Comes in a sort of a box like that, where you get that spray bottle, the actual powder itself, little measuring jug, and a little stirring stick. Now, reading the instructions, it says to mix thoroughly, 1 part dry, and it has to be dry powder, between 5 and 10 granules, i.e. ballast. It says the optimum is 1 to 7, so 7 parts ballast, 1 part powder, and then you mix that all up. I haven't put the powder in yet, that is just the ballast, and I'm using just the grey mix. I'm not putting the iron ore this time. That's 7 parts, and then I will put 1 part of the actual powder into that and mix that through thoroughly. So I've still got a dry mix. I then spread that over the track and then spray with just normal water. So that is just water out the tap. And then that should, it says, looking at that as well, the best results to apply 2 to 3 light coats of water, adjust, allowed to dry overnight. Although it does actually say it only takes 1 to 2 hours. Best thing to do is to let it go overnight. So I'm going to mix up that now. Okay, so I've got my 1 part powder. I'm just going to pour that in there. And I'm going to give this a good mix around. I don't have a bigger container at the moment, so I've just got to be very gentle with this. And what I will do is, once I've got this sort of settled in, I'll just keep pouring it between the 2 cups, because obviously otherwise it'll only all just sit at the top. But the idea is just to mix that powder in. It's slowly sinking down. We're about halfway down now. And you can see it's got a lot of brighter, whiter colour, but that obviously is just a powder. That will go. You won't see the white. It will dry back to its normal colour once the actual adhesion part is complete. It's quite a fine powder. I don't know if you can actually see it. It's sort of like almost like a steam spray sort of coming off with that as well. So I'll get this all properly mixed in and then we'll come back. Okay, so I've got that all properly mixed up in there now. So what you do is I'm going to take my ballast spreader. I'm just going to do this small section of track here because obviously I'm doing the comparisons. So I'll do a couple of these lines till I've used this up. I'm not sure if I actually showed this in the last video about using the ballast spreader, but you can get all different ones here. The idea is just fill the hopper up. I'm going to do this in small sections because this is only a small bit of track. Fill that hopper up there, and then you've got the mix of the powder and the ballast, and then you just run it backwards over the tracks like that. Now you can see it does look probably quite ghostly white, but as I said, that will all change. Okay, so now that's done, I'm just going to level it all out and then we'll spray it with some water. Okay, so I've just quickly smoothed out the rails there. It's looks pretty ghostly white up this end. I think there's more of a concentration of powder around there, but I've got it off the sleepers. I'm going to give this a good bit of a spray, just get this primed. The thing about this bottle, I think they've given you it specifically is because it's got quite a fine mist, which is quite good, so hopefully it won't disturb the ballast too much. So I'll do it from a bit of a height, and this should then start activating the glue within. It's definitely not moving the ballast much at all, which is quite good. A bit closer. See a few little bits of movement, but nothing significant at all, which is really pretty good. So I'll try and bring a bit closer still. It did say sort of 2 to 3 sort of fine coats of water. I can see it sort of darkening down there, so I know that the water's getting through. And I think we'll just do one more for luck. So just an overall. Yeah, I'll be careful of the angle now because I can see the water drops actually coming down and disturbing some of that ballast. Okay, so that's that sprayed. I've got quite a bit of water on the baseboard, so I'm going to sort of just soak up the excess there with just a paper towel. And try not to disturb ballast. The instructions in this one did actually say that you can sort of adjust this as it dries, but I just don't really like the thought of that. I think I'm just going to let it dry as it is and let it dry as it is, and then anything that I need to adjust I'm going to do afterwards. So I'm going to let this dry overnight and we'll come back tomorrow and then we'll compare the results. Okay, I apologise about the background noise. I've got a dehumidifier on which I can't turn off at the moment. So this is 24 hours later, or just over 24 hours, and I've done a quick vacuum pass over, and you think it looks pretty much intact. However, if we compare it to the last one, if I give that a good old rub, I mean it's very hard to get that away. If I give it a tap with this as well, it's pretty solid. Whereas I've just been playing with this, and it's pretty loose. It doesn't take much to pull it apart at all. And there's yeah, it's pretty poor. There are some areas that are a little bit more solid. I think that's where more powder was mixed in. I can still pick it away. It's still quite spongy though, and it's been, obviously I've had the dehumidifier on, so I know there's not moisture still in there, and it's just falling apart. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put another layer of water on there, as it does say it might take 2 or 3 passes, and I'll let that go for another 24 hours. But if that doesn't solidify it, then I'm gonna be pretty peeved off with this. Okay, so this is the result after vacuuming up any loose debris. I still don't think this is properly stuck down. This section's betterly solid, but this, I think if I push hard enough, I can actually, well, I'm not even pushing that hard, I can just pull it away. It's not properly sort of stuck down at all. So this product, I think, unless I've done something drastically wrong, it appears to be quite sectiony. Like this area's okay, grind it away, but I mean, even when I compare it to this stuff, I mean, I really am trying, and I'm putting off like very few bits on that. Whereas this, unfortunately, doesn't take much effort to pry away, even on the strong bit. It's a shame, really. I might pull this all up and start again. You can see it's come away the other side there. The middle isn't too bad. It does appear to be the sides. I think maybe the corks help with that, but yeah, not great. I think of the two, the Ballast Bond liquid adhesive being that one, and the Ballast Magic being this one, I think that one's a little bit better. The setup with it as well, it hasn't given me a better result than this, which was easier to pour on. I mean, I think this will go further per pack, but then I think it's more expensive. But this is cheaper, no setup, just on, and got a good result with that. So of those two, I think I prefer the liquid adhesive Ballast Bond over the Ballast Magic. But again, this is just my view of it. I don't think I've done anything other than what the instructions have said, and I've set it up as best I can. You know, the powder was properly mixed in. There's no obvious, perhaps maybe a little bit there, but it's settled. I've mixed that all in before pouring it, and I've decanted it. But I think the powder just does seem to go in sections, so not the best result with that one. The other option is the old classic water, dish soap and PVA, which is tried and tested. So I think it's either going to be your Ballast Bond liquid adhesive, which gives you that result there, which again, there was only a few sections which just need filling in, but that's not going to be overly difficult to do. Just a few little ball patches compared to this, which I think basically needs redoing completely. I'll pick it all up and do that again. So if that's an option you're considering, I think Ballast Bond liquid adhesive is my choice of the two. And then if you don't want to spend out however much that is, then I think your best bet is water, dish soap and PVA. Okay, so thanks for watching this video. I'm not sure quite how long it is. I apologise if it's a bit long, because I've certainly filmed a lot. I might have cut it down in the edit. Yes, I'm going to crack on with either the water PVA mix or the Ballast Bond. I think that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the layout. Those are the options I think I'm going to do. I'm going to crack on with that. Yeah, I'm not going to show you how to ballast. There's loads of videos out there, but I thought I'd do a comparison of the products available, and I'll sort of let you know what the result is when it's done. I think after that, the next thing I'm going to do is obviously now I've got my laptop back, it came in the post today, is I'm going to get some trains moving, and then I'm going to start doing backseam boards. I think that's going to be my next go-to. So thanks very much for watching, and also don't forget to go onto channel 5 on demand and catch up on the Great Model Railway Challenge, which I took part in with the Shunter guys. So go check that out if you haven't seen it, and see how we did.